recording the video. And then let's bring up notes. Welcome, everybody. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 979. Tonight, going to do a personal update. Why did I miss last week? And then stories from the trenches and a listener email and a little product that I found that I'm going to talk about that I've been using this week. All right. First, traveled to New Orleans on Sunday, February 1st, and then came back Friday night on the 6th. So I wasn't available. Had a great time. It was cold in New Orleans, but here's the thing. Here's how it started out. Saturday, I got notified by American Airlines that the flight is canceled because there was no direct flights to New Orleans, and I booked going to, believe it or not, North Carolina, and then going down to New Orleans because that was that's what they had listed. Well, that wasn't so good because of the weather, and they had a blizzard. So they canceled it the day before, which was great, and they rebooked us going to Miami and leaving around just maybe a half hour later. So that was pretty cool. So and one of the things I liked, we're on the same plane. Now we had to, get off and then get back on, but you're thinking, well, if you're on the same plane and you're checking a bag, well, they're going to make it, right? So we go to Miami, and by the way, we step off the plane, and even in the jet walk, it was freezing in Miami. And even everybody, they're bundled up in coats. It's just, man, what strange weather in Florida. So we get off, we get back on, and now we land in New Orleans, and you can check your bags with the app. I love however you fly, make sure you use their app. And one of the nice things about American Airlines, they do track your bag. May not deliver it to you, but they track your bag for you. And I see one bag made it. The other bag, it didn't get put back on the plane. So how is it possible? And that was my wife's bag, by the way. Once we seen, because you're not sure what number that they put onto the suitcase, and we found my bag came off, which was actually quite damaged, and it was open, and it brutal. So we had to get a strap in New Orleans, and we strapped our luggage for coming back. So now I get my bag, my wife's is missing, and she significantly smarter than me, so she packed a lot of extra clothes into carry-on, and that was good because she didn't really miss a beat for the one day that we didn't have the luggage. And then we were staying right on Bourbon Street at a great hotel, and I was able to use my Marriott points for the Sheraton, and it was excellent. The meals were phenomenal. I'm not going to talk about that, but the long story short, she got her bag Monday afternoon. So that was great because the first formal eating was Monday night. So, and she already had good clothes. If my bag was missing, I wouldn't have had the collared shirt or whatever, as we were going, Monday night was Brennan's. So, okay. So now, traveling with technology and calendars, I had a problem when I returned. I had to make some appointments during the week. I had to schedule some work for this week. Now, remember, I'm in the time zone central while I'm booking the appointments on my phone. When I came back and opened up Outlook over the weekend, I was like, wait, this doesn't sound right. I know I made that one appointment for 10, not 11. And then I seen all the appointments I made were an hour off. So I had to manually go in to the appointment and change the time zone. I'm set to automatic for my time zones. What? I don't understand that. If anybody can shed light on that as to what happened, I've traveled across time zones before, and I've never had that problem where I made an appointment and it should have adjusted based on the time zone that I'm in. And maybe it was because I was coming back, because I remember all the reservations I made were correct. They were an hour later here on Eastern time. And when I got to New Orleans, they were in the calendar, they moved to an hour earlier, but not coming back. And if anybody knows what that is, or is there a way to solve it? Is there a configuration that I'm missing for the time zones? Let me know. MikeTechShow@gmail.com. I would really appreciate it. Now, before we get into the stories of the trenches, baseball, good news. Phillies pitchers and catchers and all the other players reported Wednesday to Clearwater, Florida. I can't wait. I live in the middle of spring training heaven as I'm a snowbird because of the Phillies. Clearly, as you look around my room, and you have no idea what's in front of me. I have to show that one night. And all of the bobbleheads and different things on shelves that you can't see off to the right of me. So clearly I am a huge Phillies fan and can't wait. And my son Ryan gets down here on the 27th, very, very early. And then we're going to have breakfast and then hit the baseball game. And then, I don't think Ryan realizes, the rescheduled Christmas present that I bought my wife, I'll be going to the Barry Manilow concert on Friday night. So I have a very long day, but Ryan also has a very long. Now, as I know, let's see, that's he's not in the chat now, but wait until he learns that when he's going back, it's a time change, and he's actually going to lose an hour, and he's leaving at the crack of dawn on Sunday, the 9th. The 9th, I think. So, anyway, of March, 8th or 9th. All right. So, lots of new users I had to create. So, I get back Friday night, and I spend Saturday and Sunday working. And, I'm really glad to hear, but some of it was turnover, but some of it's new hires, and I'm really glad when clients are hiring people. That's nice. So, literally, a CPA, a law firm, and a financial advisor. So 3 separate clients, adding people. So, of course, I have to create the email account, test it, log in to find out what computer, we had already discussed during the week via email, which computer they're going to be using. And I had made sure, I said, hey, leave them on Friday night so I can remote in. And then created everything, tested. They were all good to go for Monday. So that worked out perfect. So this week, I am continuing that CPA work. And if you remember the big project I talked about with the Intuit Pro series, where I had to put 2014 through 2025. Well, there's a problem with 2022. So I could not resolve it because I am not a tax person. I am not a CPA. Let me convert the data, install it, set it up, share it, do whatever you need from an IT perspective, but certainly not for using the software. So they had a very consistent error when you clicked on something that would crash. So I call Intuit Tech Support. They won't talk to me. And I get it. I understand. Even though I had all the information, I had the account number, everything. So now I got to go bother the owner to get on the phone with me to allow me to access tech support. And by the way, I have to call them again tomorrow because what they had me do, and I did it last night, didn't work. So we worked an hour and a half, and the whole time I had to keep disrupting them. And it was brutal. They had me run a couple tools, which I'm glad to learn, but it didn't fix the error. So now they want a full reinstall, re-import the data from 2022, and there's a procedure. I followed the procedure perfectly, and that error disappeared. But guess what? They created a new error. So I had them keep that ticket number open. So tomorrow morning, and I'm hoping I don't have to bother the users again because they kept making them go off and I had to keep rebooting the server every time we did something. So, And that's annoying. They don't have any after hours support. And the company's working during the day. So anyway, that's a problem that I'm going to have to deal with tomorrow. It's the rejected return. When you click on the reject button for that particular tax return, the program crashes. So anyway, I did everything last night, and by the way, that was like 3 hours of my life I can't get back. And but it's all billable, which is really cool, So and I had to not only reinstall from the server, but I had to each workstation uninstall the software and reinstall it. And it takes time. All right. So now let's see what happens tomorrow. I'll update you next week. So let's keep going. Walters Kluwer, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Their CCH Pro tax software. They have engagement and they have tax. That's what my one client uses. Now, the tax program, this is interesting, and it involves remote access, sort of. The tax program allows you to have a laptop version. Every user has laptops. And there's a laptop version which they've been using for years. And what you do, you go into a program and you can check out returns that are now local to your system. So you can be home, not have to access the office or the server, and you can work on the returns. Then when you come back in the office, you check it in. And it's very simple. They've been using it. They love it. Last year, on the 2024 version, we couldn't get it installed. I worked with tech support for hours till finally they admitted, yeah, we got a real problem here, and there's a lot of clients that can't run the laptop version. So they kind of did without it, with last year, and it forced users who normally would use that to come in over the weekends to work. This is tax season. So now, the 2025 version is released. I run into the same problem. So a couple weeks ago, I opened up a ticket. They remoted in with me. They kept trying the same things. We did a whole bunch of like renaming the directory on the C drive, then going in, and then we copied DLLs, and it was an ugly little error when you go to install. So they said they got to escalate it. So I get a call a couple days ago saying we're following up on the case number. And I said, well, what are you going to do? Before I disrupt my client and before we remote in, what are you going to do? And they literally stated the same things. I said, are you looking at my ticket? I said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and thinking you're going to get a different result. I said, this is crazy. I said, he understood and he had to escalate this. Now, that was a couple days ago. That was, what's today? Thursday? So I think that was Monday, actually. So today, I get a call in the afternoon from tech support. And this guy, it was yesterday. And he called me and he said, I need a very particular INI file from the server. And I said, no problem. So I logged in, got him the file. He remoted it. And, we did the transfer. And he said, because I asked him, what are we going to do? And he's the problem solver. And he says, we have now solved this for clients. And I'm going to edit that INI and then get back to you. So that was yesterday. And he called me this afternoon and he says, I have the fixed INI file. Let's remote in and do it. I called my client so I could interrupt him. And he had no problem because he's been chomping at the bits for this. And then there's one other user that has to have this. So we install it and it works. And you have to do a reboot. And I was able to get 2024 and 2025 installed. It rebooted. I was like, we were happy. Clients happy. So they finally fixed it. But I wasn't going to waste any time yesterday or Monday when that one tech called, which they were going to do the same thing. And I'm like, come on, that's just like when I call Lamar into it, I don't want to hear I got to reinstall it. I did that. Now we caused a different problem. please escalate this so we can, so all I've been doing is fighting with tech support. I still have to fight with Microsoft, and that's a whole nother issue that I will get into. So now, had a problem with a client that, iPhone user, and what happens? They get a new phone. So their Microsoft Authenticator did not carry over. Now, I know there's an option, and I got to explore this more, that it's saved, especially my phone, because I have 30 entries for clients from my Authenticator. Now, supposedly that's backed up to iCloud. I got to make sure and review the process before I change a phone. It's one of the reasons why I'm afraid to change my phone right now. I have an iPhone 15 Pro. It's paid for. I can easily upgrade to the 17 Pro, and I haven't done that yet. That's one of the reasons. I have another reason too, because there's an app, and I'm not sure if it's going to work on the 17. But once I get to go that app's going to work, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this. But I definitely want to hear back from anybody with an iPhone, Microsoft Authenticator. You have multiple clients, you've upgraded your phone, and you were able to easily transfer all of the MFA settings. So I need to hear back for that. So that would be great. Okay. Cybersecurity questions for insurance. So last night, for a title insurance company, I answered the questions, and I answered them honestly. And I knew with my answers saying, no, you don't have EDR for antivirus. No, you don't do this, because it's going to cost money. No employee training, because I've offered. Well, had a great meeting with the owner today on a conference call, and we went over the options, and he's like, let's do it. So we picked the workstations that are going to that are going to have the EDR, and I'm going to talk about that, because right now I have Malwarebytes on the systems, but I'm going to be upgrading them to MCSoft, because that's an EDR, because the Malwarebytes EDR, it just costs too much for reselling, and I have been testing and playing with MCSoft, and I know the reseller listens to the show, and he's going to be like, yes, Mike's going to finally become a reseller. So anyway, I will start deploying that for the clients, and it costs more, and I told them, so not a problem. And then training. So I'm going to do what I have, my canned training, and that by doing the training for just a small group of employees, it's a piece of cake. And he got to he got to change 3 no's to 3 yeses just by us working that out and scheduling it. Also, going to have an email migration, because it's multiple companies. It's a real estate company, which they're on Microsoft 365, but the title insurance is on SureWeb. We got to migrate to Microsoft 365. So that's going to be another migration. And got to talk about that, because I have 3 migrations that I can't do because of a problem with the Microsoft accounts. And I got to take the time. I got to open up a big ticket with Microsoft, and I got to have a serious conversation with a really good tech to help me with this before I can do 3 migrations that I've been putting off because I have an error. And it's with the domain. It's because the domain's tied up with a personal account, and I can't verify the domain properly. Even though I have full access to the registrar, because they're all GoDaddy. So that's, I have the logins. All right. This was an interesting call today. Well, actually, it was yesterday, and we scheduled today, and I was able to talk to them. It is their new 365 setup. This was one of the new users that I had set up over the weekend. And for their Outlook, they all their items from Monday and Tuesday went to delete it. Now, I checked the rules. I checked everything. This is definitely a user error. I don't know how, because even she says, maybe I accidentally moved them to the deleted folder. And I'm like, I'm being very nice. I was like, yes, that's possible. And that was, I said, look, email me if you find out anything else that's, if something's accidentally going to delete it. And I checked online, her email, there's no rules, there's no settings. I made sure, there's the conversation option from junk. I checked everything that you could possibly, that could cause this. And it wasn't there. So, all right. So that was, now another Outlook problem. I get a call this morning and I take care of it. I am so tired of Microsoft doing something, whacking the Outlook profile of Exchange hosted email, because it's not theirs. Well, actually, they did whack theirs on one, but there wasn't whatever the update. He now can't. His profile is a temporary profile, and no matter what option you pick there, it's not going to work. So all I had to do, and it's an easy fix, but it's one I shouldn't have to do. And now, even though I had set him up for a hosted Exchange on SureWeb with no issue with Outlook 365, now it couldn't find SureWeb on setting up the new profile. And I had to go back to my auto discover registry fix, and I had to apply that. Once I applied that fix, now it was it, because what it does, the registry fix, and I've posted it. You can just search auto discover at MikeTechShow.com, and you'll find the registry as a text file, so you can download it and take a look at it. It basically stops for checking directly to Microsoft. I mean, I'm going to have to eventually undo that if we ever go to Microsoft, because now I'm going to really need them to connect to that. What a pain. So I have to run that registry, and luckily I have that fix. Then I can set up a new profile. Everything's coming down. Happy. It's good, but what a waste that I have to keep doing that. And this is like the sixth or seventh client that I've had to do this with. So, all right. Moving on. Artificial intelligence with clients. So the first link for tonight is going to be anytimeai.ai. So wait until you see this, and I'm going to bring it up on my screen. So it's for attorneys. And what it does is it basically allows them to automate. The attorney demonstrated this. Now, why I'm talking about it is he lives in SharePoint, and he has all of his case info on SharePoint. There's a link, but they're having trouble with that link to SharePoint. As a matter of fact, I was working with their tech support today. It's just been tech support week for all of the software manufacturers. And they're going to fix something, and they think they have it. I got an email tonight, so I'm going to connect again tomorrow. I have to link his account to SharePoint because now he can easily import the cases that they're working on, and he can say draft a brief or draft a request compelling the opponent to share documents. Okay, so he typed that and it generated it, and it was like, oh my gosh. He started doing things. He's like, it's a small law firm, but they've been one of my clients. Matter of fact, they were my very first client when I left the corporate world, and got them in 2008. So actually beginning of 2009. And they've been a great client. He is going to be winding down a little bit and towards the end of 2026, and he doesn't want to have to pay an assistant or a paralegal. And guess what? I watched some of the things he was showing me here on this software, and that's why I figured let me put a link there to it, because if you have attorneys, it might be worth sharing this. They can actually get rid of bodies. So we're actually seeing. I have now witnessed, this little AI software to eliminate the legal assistance. Because all the mundane stuff can be done by just typing, and it's a little teddy bear, and you ask Teddy what to do. Anyway, I have no idea what it costs because we didn't talk about that. So some more AI here. My client, they audit banks. This is the one where we have tons of policies and so many things to do for going through cyber checks and auditing that I've been spending my life with a couple banks for this client, and we're passing everything, and it's just a brutal process they put us through. They live in Excel. They have been really deep diving Microsoft Copilot with Excel, and it has cut significant time on some of the things that they do within Excel. And I just wanted to pass that on. I am not an expert on Copilot, not at all. I haven't had time to seriously embrace it, but I know I have to. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. If your clients are diving into that, we also have to, learn with them. And it's one of those things, especially if you are an employee of a company, you got to embrace the AI. Because remember, I talked about that a few weeks ago, where you learn how to control it and manipulate it, and you still need that human. Even with the law software, you got to have a legal mind to review it, because there could be mistakes. I've seen mistakes. I've seen ChatGPT. I've seen Perplexity make mistakes. They are not perfect. You definitely have to give an eye of common sense, and take a look and go through all that. All right. A warning. Windows 11 Pro, that bypass trick, where I've talked about it a couple times, where you do setup.exe /product server, and it'll automatically bypass. It says it's doing the server. My son and I have had 2 crashes of hard drives. And here's the lesson from this. First, you have to have a backup. And we're lucky we will not proceed with something like that. And these are personal laptops, so I don't mind doing it. I will never do this on a corporate machine. It's never. I won't do it. But on a personal laptop, they don't want to spend the money to okay. They were mechanical drives, both of them. And it was too intense because they both died. Now, they're older systems, but that install killed the drives. And luckily, there was a backup. The person has a USB stick where they always meticulously back up. Now, we put a new hard drive in the one laptop. The other guy was too far away, and he had to go to a place that I've actually talked with the guy, and the guy put the new hard drive in, and he was able to read the old hard drive a little bit and get some of his data. So we didn't have to do like a full restore. But this other person, my son put a new hard drive in, and then used the USB that we have that's built with the bypass in it, doing it from scratch on a clean install, and that worked perfectly. So just beware. Make sure. I would not do this on a mechanical drive and on a machine that's too old. Don't do it. Or unless you have a full image backup or that you have confirmed the backup data, and then do it. So I just had to give that warning, because this is just the last few weeks, and we've had 2. So right now, my son, we will not do that anymore. We're just not, whether there's a backup or not, we're not going to do that. It's got to be a clean install, which means they have to have the backup, and we're going to put a new hard drive in. So, and if they can't do that, then we're not doing it. We'll walk away. All right. Now, this was an email from Kate, and this is disturbing. She sent me a link, and this is going to be in the show notes, and it's Microsoft is giving the FBI BitLocker keys. Microsoft gives the FBI the ability to decrypt BitLocker in response to court orders about 20 times per year. It's possible for users to store those keys on a device they own, but Microsoft also recommends BitLocker, users store their keys on the server for convenience. Be careful. I don't know if I would want to do that. I mean, most corporations, yes, but if they're given over, because even Apple with court orders have refused to unlock phones. So I would not. I would be very, very cautious. I think that's disturbing that Microsoft's giving out the BitLocker keys. I know there might be a good reason. I don't trust it, I'm sorry. So just needed to mention that. And Kate, thanks for the article. And of course, I will link it. So there's only 2 links for tonight. But you know what? I'm going to have to get another link for this I wish I got credit from this from Amazon, but I do not, So I showed this before the show. What is it? Well, it's a speaker, a Bluetooth speaker that you put under your pillow. Now, I need to listen to music or to replay of a talk show, or the different things that I like playing from my phone or from my Echo device. But this is really from the phone, and my wife needs complete silence. She has earplugs, but sometimes that doesn't work, and she's never happy with that. This works. It's not 100%. I'd say it's 98, but it's very good, very acceptable. My wife gave a thumbs up for it. So what I've done the last few nights is you put it under your pillow after you marry it to your Bluetooth for the phone, and you just hold the button in, and it would marry to the phone. You know what? Why don't we do that? Okay, so right now, it paired. So let's go to the phone and I can't. You know what? They won't do it on they won't allow it on the show. So you see the blue light. I was going to play some Sinatra, but then that would get flagged when I put the show up. But anyway, you see it. It's very simple. You have a volume control. And then here's what I noticed. It's too loud for a side sleeper. You may have to lower the volume. Now, if you're laying flat on your back, it sounds a little better. Now, even though the bass is not heavy on my phone, laying on the pillow, it seemed very, very bass heavy, But for under $30, I give it a thumbs up, and it can help with your spouse. So I had to show that. So I don't do a lot of product demos like that, but that was great. Okay, that is it for tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back next week, same time, same channel. Please don't forget, visit MikeTechShow.com for all of the show notes, and also there's a donation button if you feel inclined to make a donation to help support the show. Greatly appreciate it. And don't forget to like the YouTube videos over at Michael Smith MTS on YouTube, and click subscribe. I really appreciate it. That's it. See you next week. Bye.